Welcome to This Is How It's Done.
You know, the beauty of customizing your car is there are literally thousands of options and things that you can do. But first, you should wash and dry your entire vehicle. Now we're going to kind of show you a decal kit maybe for the side. Maybe you like something a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder. And we found some Street Fury from Auto Art, more tribal looking things. And we're going to kind of work with some tribal bands down the side of our car. So we're going to open up the package and kind of peel out what's in the package and see that we have quite a few different options, and they all look like they're about the same. So I'm going to kind of work on this package right here. And as we can see in this package, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pieces that you can kind of lay out down the car any way that you want. We're going to use the same procedure that we used when we were doing the pinstripes earlier. In fact, I'm going to take a pair of scissors, and I kind of like this top one, and I'm going to cut this top one out of here, being very, very careful not to cut into one of the other designs, because I sure don't want to cut a corner off or a piece off of one of those other designs. So we're going to kind of cut out that top piece and get the extra stuff out of our way right now. And as you can see, kind of left with, man, it's really kind of a cool little tribal pattern. I like the way it kind of kicks up here in the back of my car, and kind of dives down there right above the gas lid. And I tell you what, not a bad looking piece. So now we're going to do the same thing that we've been doing. Let's get out our trusty masking tape. It's just the safest way to install any decal or any graphic, because it gives you the opportunity to temporarily put it in place before you permanently stick it on your car. So I'm going to kind of back this thing up just a little bit, because I'm going to get this little upswing to end right about where my tail marker, side marker light ends, and put me a little bit of piece of tape there. Kind of like this dip right here coming to my body seam. So I'm going to put that right there. And now that I've kind of looked and see that, boy, I really like that layout without any problem, take myself a piece of masking tape, just kind of put it right down there in the middle. It's just a great way to hold everything in place. Now I'm going to stick the back half of this decal first, using the hinge method that we've used all day long, remembering that a lot of these decals have a clear backing to them. So make sure your car is clean and make sure that your fingers are clear of any type of grease or oil. And I'm gonna peel everything back like I've been doing. Take my scissors, cut away that backing. As you can see, I'm being very careful not to let this decal touch my car yet. Grab the squeegee and once again slowly start making your way while holding this end away from your car. Just start making my way down that decal and get the back half of that tribal stuck. I'm going to come in here and remove that piece of tape. Here's my first piece of tape we put down. Get that out of the way and remove my tape on that side. Again, everything's being held in place because we have the back of our decal stuck down. So I'm going to fold that back, and look at how that white backing just kind of falls off the rest of the decal. Take our squeegee and once again, still holding the decal out away from the car just a little bit. Take my squeegee and start making my way down this tribal design, and look at that. Tribal pattern stuck on the side of the car. Now if you want to, you have the opportunity of taking some of the extra decals that we have, and we could cut that one out and keep going all the way down in the front of the car. You could stop wherever you want, because most of these kits have lots of different decals that you could cut apart and make a great stripe down the side of your vehicle. Today on This Is How It's Done, we're going to have a little bit of fun, and we're going to put some decals or customize our car a little bit. But first, take some time to wash and dry your vehicle. Very basic, very simple thing to do. You need a few tools. You need some type of a squeegee. We're using a soft cotton squeegee. They also make hard plastic ones. Whatever the case may be, it works out great. Sometimes in a pinch, we've actually used a credit card. Need a razor blade. Going to need some type of a tape measure, some masking tape, and of course whatever decals you want to install on your car. We got some Trim Bright customizer scroll kits that we're going to put on the trunk lid of this car. So the first thing you need to do is we need to find the very center of the trunk panel of what we're doing. So we're going to take out our tape measure and we're going to measure from edge to edge, and this one is measuring 45 inches. So that tells me 22.5 inches is the center of my trunk. So I'm going to take a little piece of tape, I'm going to put a piece of tape down pointing at 22.5. That marks the very center of my trunk. I'm going to open up my decal kit. I'm going to use this one here. It's marked hood or deck lid application. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of peel that off, and realize I got a few different ways that I can put it. I can lay it this way from this side and flip it over, and this one will fit on this side. Works out really great because this little black part right there I'm going to use to point right at my piece of masking tape right in the very center of my trunk. As you saw earlier, we completely washed and wiped off our vehicle. Have to start with a perfectly clean vehicle. Make sure you don't have any grease or wax on your hands. And I tell you what, you're pretty much ready to start sticking. All right, now that we have the center mark, we're going to take an ordinary pair of scissors. We're just going to simply cut off this piece here. And being very careful, we're going to cut our designs right down the middle, separating the two decals. Now we're going to kind of place it, like I said earlier, we kind of want our little black point there pointing right down at our center line on that one, and we could do that one pointing right down at our center line, and we can see how they're going to lay out. At this point in time, what I'd probably do is take my tape measure and maybe measure straight up and see that this top point right here is right at 13 inches, and I kind of like that. So I'll come over here to this side and do the exact same thing. Put that little point right at 13 inches. So now what I've done basically is that I know I have my center pointing at the very center, and I know I have this top point 13 inches and this top point 13 inches, which tells me that both my decals are laid out evenly on each side. Take myself a piece of masking tape, tape that one down, tear a piece and tape this one down. Now, because you're not always perfect on everything that you do, it's a great opportunity to remeasure. Still at 13, still pointed down there. Come over this side, still at 13 and still pointed down there. So gives you a chance to look at it one last time, make sure that everything looks good and is equal. And tell you what, I like the way this looks. A lot of these decals you got to be very careful because they're actually on a clear backing. And if you have any type of grease or dirt on your fingers, if you touch the back of the decal, it's going to show all the way through. So I'm carefully going to pick up this edge. See how I just start peeling out the little decal piece that I like? So I'm going to get that out of the way. Take my scissors, cut my backing. Now my backing's out of the way. I could take my squeegee that we had, just start squeegeeing that down, being careful not to touch the back of anything, and then I got half of that decal on. Now at this point in time, it's not going to move anywhere, so I can take my masking tape off, save that for the next piece, and fold it up right at that exact same spot. Peel this back away. Once again, using my squeegee. Applying a little bit of pressure as I go across, making sure not to wrinkle anything. Voila, decal is completely down. If you repeat the process on the other side, your trunk is done. All right, as we continue today on This Is How It's Done, we're in the process of showing you ways of customizing your vehicle. But first, take some time to wash and dry your vehicle. Today we're going to show you how to put on some pinstripe decals. We have the same tools. We have our masking tape out, we have a squeegee, we have a razor blade, and we have a pair of scissors. First thing that you want to do is kind of stand back and maybe identify the body line of your car. Every car kind of has a point or a curve in it, and this particular car happens to take off right here from the headlight. So I'm going to take a little piece of tape and stick it right there, right on the bottom side of that bend, because I'm actually going to put my pinstripe decal right on top of that. So I put the tape there, which kind of gives me a guideline. And then as I come back, I found that exact same bend and put a piece of tape right on the bottom side of it as well. Once again, using the top of this tape as my guideline. I do that down the entire side of the car. That way I can lay the stripe down all in one big piece. So we take a look at our stripe design with the little bob wires and little metal in between there. We kind of want to figure out what you'd like to start with. Myself, I want to start this out with just the bob wire down there. So peel away the white backing. As you can see, I have a lot of extra going up there on the headlight, which we'll trim off at a later date. But I'm putting the decal right on my piece of tape. Remember that piece of tape we put down there as a guideline? Well, I'm putting the decal just right on top of that. Okay, so I have it set right there. Now, as you can tell, I've peeled back the white from behind any of the decal. So that's stuck really good right there. And I'm gonna come down here and I'm gonna lay it right on top of that piece of tape that I already did. And then lightly, as you can tell, take my squeegee and just run it right along that stripe. Now I got a perfectly straight line following that body line right along that fender. Now I've made it all the way down the side of my car, doing the same thing, working the top of the tape and kind of line up the very last section here. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to leave it really long and let it roll off. All right, now that I have it all laid down, once again using my squeegee, I'm making sure and putting the decal down really good. Now we're going to come back here, and on this particular design, I think I'm going to go ahead and just cut it right at the tail light. So I have a very simple razor blade, and very lightly, just going to trim the decal, peel off all the extra, paying real close attention to kind of tucking that edge in. Tell you what, then I'm ready to go back down the side of the car and remove all my tape. All right, now that we have it trimmed in the back, working our way back forward, you're going to see where you've come across a door seam of your vehicle, and obviously you need to make sure and cut and tuck all the seams in. So what I'm doing is I'm working on the edge that is actually of the door and not of the fender, taking my razor blade and very easily cutting it flush or right up next to the door. Once I've done that, I can pop the door open and just fold that side in. Close the door, and I have a perfect seam that won't catch anything or won't pull up on you. All right, and as I continue to make my way forward, I come across a section here where the door handles are in this car, and the door handle kind of indents down in there. You don't ever want to leave your decal sticking out like that, because dirt will get behind it and peel it off. So if you slowly just work your finger back and forth, it just kind of stretches the decal just a little bit. Look at that, tucks it right down in that seam. Now the decal is down flat, no dirt or anything can kind of get behind it. So we'll just keep doing that all the way forward, cutting it at every seam and tucking it in at the door handles. Now we've made ourselves all the way back to the front of the car where we started. And if you remember right, I kind of left the decal a little bit long hanging over the headlight, because that gives us the opportunity of where we want to cut it. You have the chance, if you wanted to cut it at a fancy angle up like this, you can, but I just caution you to be very careful with your razor blade and not press too tight, because you'll actually be cutting down into the paint of the vehicle. So in this particular car, we're going to do the same thing I did in the back, and I'm just going to kind of cut along the body line and peel everything up. And with that final cut, I tell you what, you got a nice looking pinstripe graphic. I like it on this car because it's kind of subtle to see, but when you get up close, it's a great looking bob wire design running down the side of the car. All right, as we continue things on This Is How It's Done, You need to start with a clean car so we can install some custom graphics. Now you know what, you might want to put something on the top of the windshield of your car. There's really cool things that you can do. We found a kit that's made by Expressions. It's got kind of a tribal pattern, and we're going to show you how to put something along the top of your windshield. A lot of different ways you could do this. You could do your tape measure and find the dead center part of your windshield, or a lot of cars you can obviously see where the rear view mirror is mounted, and manufacturers always put that right in the middle of your windshield. So I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit and just kind of use right where the mirror is mounted and use that as a center line. So we're going to open up our package. So I got the decal out and been in the package for a while, so I want to kind of get some of those folds out. And we're going to use our handy masking tape program that we had before. So tear yourself off 3 or 4 pieces of masking tape and set them within arm's reach. Let's take our decal. It's pretty easy to see the center of your decal, center of the design, and we're going to place that right in the center of our windshield. I tell you what, I'm going to kind of put one piece of tape there and hold it in place. Kind of come over to this side and put a piece over here in place. Allows you to kind of pull it straight and put yourself a piece of tape and hold it in place. Now if you want to be really accurate, it's a good opportunity. You can actually measure from the side of your windshield to the edge of your decal. It's about 6 1/4 on that side, and it's 6 1/4 on that side. So we know that we have our decal centered in the windshield exactly where we want it to go. And so we're ready to kind of proceed. We're going to get ourselves a big strip and kind of put it right down the middle of our decal. Make sure it's stuck really good and hold the decal in place. With that, we're going to grab our squeegee and our scissors. We can take this edge off because the piece of tape in the middle is holding everything in place. We're going to start slowly peeling the decal up. Now that I've peeled up the decal on this one side, we'll do the same thing. I'm just going to simply cut the white backing out of the way. Just drop that on the floor behind you. Take our squeegee while holding it up. Just slowly work our way across this decal. You're going to like this. This is what they call a die cut decal, and when we're done, you're going to see this is a pretty slick deal. So now that I have half the decal down, I can remove my piece of tape, holding it in the center, holding that in place, get rid of that piece of tape, take out this piece of tape, take out this piece of tape, start peeling away that white backing. With my squeegee once again, very lightly going across the top of the decal as I peel away some of the white backing. Just using my squeegee and just sticking that decal until it's down. Now what I'd suggest doing is just following on the decal itself. Just kind of push a little bit harder. Make sure that the decal is stuck down good on that side. Come over here, make sure it's stuck really good on this side here. And then we're ready to peel away this clear applicator paper. Now, never peel straight up with this applicator paper. Always kind of peel back against the decal. What you want to make sure and do is when you're peeling this applicator paper back is make sure it doesn't catch any edges and start peeling up your decal. But you peel the applicator paper all the way off just like that. And now what you have is, like I said, they call it a die cut decal, where it just leaves the decal itself. There is no clear backing. It makes for a clean, great looking decal. And now we have a tribal band across the top of the windshield of our car.
And that's how it's done.